Hi, I'm Sarah Everett. I collect typewriters. Yes, that's correct, typewriters. And I make weird videos about them on the internet. I also happen to have a project due next week where I have to make a 10-minute documentary about something. A project which I started months ago in hopes of finding out why people collect things like me.
So this is probably called like collectors. What is wrong with these people?
So I wrote a script and went out there to find people like me and ask them how they got there.
So I figured that I'd just kind of start by explaining how I got into this project and what's going on, and then maybe we could talk a little bit about your typewriter collecting and how you're involved in the typewriter community. I'm in a pre-production class right now where we're collecting all the materials to make a documentary while we're home all quarantined, and then I'd be putting it together in the summer.
When I got that first typewriter, my friend and I, we got it at a church sale. It was like $5-10 or something like that. Had a working ribbon. We literally brought it home and wrote a plan for world domination on it. We were two kids just having fun, and the nostalgia of it, the anachronism of it, that it was so out of place in the world that we were living, just took us back to a time of intrigue and suspense, and we just had so much fun writing on it.
I grew up with my grandfather in central Massachusetts, and he was a writer for the Worcester Telegram and Gazette, which is a newspaper from central Mass, and so he was a war correspondent in World War II. And the reason why I got into typewriters is because when I was growing up with him in his office, he had typewriters that he used to write his articles on for the Worcester TNG.
I don't know, they're kind of cool. So when I worked for my friends in 2014, I'd always go into their apartment and they'd have them just like lined up. And it was kind of like in boxes. You just never knew what you were gonna get. You could have like a really fancy looking box, open it up, and the thing inside's like super dusty, doesn't work because no one's taking care of it. Or you can have like a super destroyed box and open it up and there's just like a gorgeous like mint condition 1940 Smith Corona. So I don't know, I love that. They're all very surprising. They all kind of have personalities.
You know, for me, when I write, it's a different experience and the product is different. So if I write on a computer, I kind of have one thing, and then if I write on a typewriter, it's a different sound and a different feeling.
I tried asking an expert about how we measure collections.
If you wanted to give like a quick introduction, like, hello, I'm Dr. Mark Powinski. Okay. I'm a professor at IUP, and I also, do statistics research or whatever, and then go into your theft.
Okay, I kind of went through this. It comes in just a little under 2 minutes if I push it. It's set up here. Okay, so whenever you're ready.
I'm rolling, so you're good to go.
Okay.
Basically, there are two factors in determining how excessive and obsessive a collector gets in their collection. First of all, there are the physical considerations. Where do I store my 17 typewriters in my dorm room? How many can I get into my car? Do I move home so I can take over my sister's room with my collection? Then there's the actual number of items a person collects over the course of their lives. And that collection index is measured by taking the total number of items divided by the years collecting. And that's how you quantify how crazy a collector can be. And I made a graphics montage to make you think that typewriters were cool. (1865), a machine called the Hanson writing ball is the first machine to allow someone to press an individually inked letter into a page without the use of a letterpress. And people were like, that's cool. Then in 1866, Christopher Sholes, a printer from Wisconsin, invented a machine that could number pages individually. Using this concept, Sholes made the first ever commercially successful typewriter. And people were like, that's really cool. By 1873, Sholes had a manufacturing company making over 1,000 typewriters a year under the name of Remington. And people were like, that's really cool, and also take my money. The first truly portable typewriter was invented in 1891 by George C. Blickensderfer. And people were like, that's really cool, but also I can put it on a train. His original typewriter was built with a scientific keyboard, which actually made it rather inefficient. Buyers could request a QWERTY keyboard, but they had to actually sign a release form saying that they were aware of the fact that a Blickensderfer keyboard was actually really inefficient. And people generally thought that even that was cool. In 2009, the last typewriter manufacturer, Godrej & Boyce, closed. Not so cool. Flash forward to Tom Hanks. Yes, that Tom Hanks. In 2014, Forrest Gump himself released an app called Hanks Writer, which allowed users to turn any iPad or iPhone keyboard into a typewriter. It was aptly named the best app of 2014. Tom Hanks again pops up in the typewriter timeline in 2016, when a little documentary called California Typewriter takes a look at historians, artists, and of course, typewriter collectors. Featuring interviews from John Mayer, David McCullough, and of course, Tom Hanks.
And now you know the old joke about typewriter collecting, right? If you have some vintage typewriters in your car, you got to keep the doors locked, or else people will come by and put more typewriters in.
And here's where I ended up after all that prep. That's kind of frustrating. It's pretty bad.
Hello, you've reached the voicemail box.
It's fine. Yeah. Be careful. Hold on.
Collecting typewriters and knowing about typewriters has made me feel really special. It's made me a more confident person because I know.
So I hate it, and I don't know what to do now, 'cause it sucks. But a hero must rise, even in the darkest of editing bays, and if I can't make a movie about typewriters, at least I can make a movie about making a movie about typewriters and the people who collect them.
An antique object, an old object holds energy, it holds memory for me. So when I hold an old coin, what are the tales? What are the stories that it's experienced in its existence that I can draw from?
And the reason I really got into them, though, is just the disconnect from anything electronic, digital, anything. I can, as we found out the other day, lost power at my house, and I was like, I'm gonna sit and type my typewriter. And my wife's like, wait, what? It's like, yeah, I'm gonna write. She's like, oh, okay.
They all kind of have personalities in a way. And there's also just something super rewarding about like putting paper into a machine, typing, and it's just right there. You pull it out and it's done.
I joined an online mailing group for snail mail, and there was a challenge called a typewriter letter. And for me, that was sort of the gateway. It was the reason, the excuse, the justification to buy a typewriter. And it kind of was addictive. I love vintage items. I like things that are timeless and classic. And I think typewriters are that for me.
I think especially with vintage items, it's almost like there's like a limited number, right? Once you find, like, at least with typewriters, like a really mint typewriter that's a certain model that you've been looking for, it's like cool, like I don't know when I'm gonna see another one of these, if ever, so I'm gonna keep it.
But there's gonna come a day when, we're gonna be looking, like I'll be in my probably 60s or 70s, and I'll be like, wow, I've got this 150-year-old machine right now, and no one knows how to fix it other than me, because quite literally the knowledge has been lost.
If Tiger King taught us anything, there are bad collector communities out there, but there is a great collector community in typewriters, and the people are generous, and you learn things, and celebrities will show up out of nowhere and sign your books, and Tom Hanks will answer your letters, and that's just the theme of it. So I'm really happy to be a typewriter collector and be able to share that art.
And in the end, I learned that typewriter people like me, might just be crazy. And with that, I think we might have a movie.